today I'm going to share some very inconclusive, sprawling material. There's some projects to see, but mainly I'm just going to pose a lot of questions. And hopefully you'll either leave very energized or completely confused, and both are great outcomes as far as I'm concerned. So, quick note about myself. I'm from Charleston, South Carolina. I moved to Atlanta from there and came to San Francisco about 2.5, 3 years ago. I come from design, architecture originally actually, and I got into art making about 7 years ago. And now I'm, as Matt was saying, I'm the Director of Curation and Visual Experiences at Dolby Laboratories here in San Francisco. You know, I've done a lot of different types of art making, mostly visual based really. Some sculpture. I got into Dazzle quite a bit. Some of you are probably familiar with Dazzle, the black and white camouflage of battleships in the World War I. You know, I was really into installing objects in the landscapes, you know, playing with geometries mixed with organic backdrops. Eventually, I, you know, played around with hanging fluorescent lights, like the tube lights, like in large derelict spaces in and around Atlanta, and then eventually in places during my travels. So this is just, you know, some background of myself. I really got really obsessed with industrial plastics, and I started like pouring this stuff over inanimate objects like my daughter's Barbies and various things around the house. You know, I'm not really the first to live, to move, to work, to make art. You know, people have been doing this for centuries, and, you know, I'm just really following suit. What I do know is I like to make new things, and much like Toshi, you know, curiosity and wonder is really my output, as many of you here in the room today. What I really enjoy doing is making imaginative things with others. Collaborations, yes, but I also like being this great steward to creators. Almost starting a seed that can activate others is really a passion of mine. I really like to provide these conditions that artists can plug into. You know, the results tend to be bigger than oneself. You know, a lot of the work that I was showing there is really, you know, me sort of in scientific discovery mode with as an art practice. But there's something really incredible about creating something that's cohesive, that that artists can work within. And I guess I'm not really talking about like providing physical space, but just these common threads, or the stickiness that holds things together. A few years ago, I was participated in a project in Atlanta led by the creative community at the Goat Farm. It's literally a goat farm with artist studios. It was called the Dumpster Project, and they permitted construction dumpsters throughout the city, downtown Atlanta. And each artist did their own thing in each of these construction dumpsters. It was great because it was public art, and then once you've got them permitted from the city, it's like you're clean, right? So it's not you don't have to ask 15 city organizations at that point. So not much different, I guess, from the Marketing Prototype Festival that Gray Area was so integral in leading and incubating. You know, my project, I filled a dumpster with sand, and I buried a bunch of fluorescent lights in it, and, you know, stuck some I-beams out of it. And at night, my collaborator would perform in the space. It was a sort of like a public art space. And others, they did completely different things with their spaces. And the aim of this project was to activate an area downtown that, like most modern cities, become completely barren at nighttime. So using art as a way to activate and engage the public. What I liked is how the dumpster provided this physical vehicle, and then what each artist did inside of it was really completely up to them, right? So I'm going to be posing a bunch of questions. This thing that I've been talking about, creating this fluid bubble thing where artists plug into it. Is it a vehicle? Is it a shell? Many of you probably can attest to the value of constraints and creativity. Constraints have this way of forcing out creativity. But how structured do you get with those constraints? I want to read this poem for you. The first cold shower, even the monkey seems to want a little coat of straw. I think it's kind of funny to think about a monkey with a straw coat. This is haiku, so it's a structure, right? So the point here is that it has this consistent structure, whether that's in syllables or like a sonic rhyme and meter. Is it really about providing a format for other creators? Sol LeWitt believed in distancing the artist from the artifact. And in fact, he would make written instructions for his wall drawings. So the set of the instructions for the art was itself the art, rather than the artifact it produced. Conditional design workbook is this design method, formulated by a group of artists and designers. It foregrounds process over the finished product. So as a design strategy, it's got a set of rules and conditions that stimulate collaboration between participants. And what it encourages is these unpredictable outcomes. And so Mary shares this with me, and my head is wondering: is this it? Is it about providing procedures for other creators? Procedures remove the author from the activity, and much of what I really love to do is to meet new people and work with people, that human relationship. Many of you in the audience probably, maybe have made code libraries that others can build new things with, and I really commend this form of giving to our creative community. But I'm not really sure that that's really what I'm talking about here. It's about building blocks that you give to the masses and you let go like a bird, and it blossoms on its own. I myself am not really interested in giving prescribed tools to people. Hey, we're going to do this project and everyone's got to use a red pencil. I'm not sure that that's it either. Matt mentioned that I am working at Dolby Laboratories. So Dolby exists right at that intersection of science and art. We study the brain to understand how to model the sensorial systems, and through that we create new tools that enable creators to make more immersive experiences. So a recent project that we were doing, we've been providing artwork within our physical environments as a way to inspire innovation to engineers, which is very challenging with engineers. I'll talk to you about that later. But with this project, we wanted to define maybe the edges of the paper, or provide like a wireframe or a foundation for artists, and we gave this to 22 artists around the globe, and then they basically came back with this. And there was something really about this project that, yes, we were defining this edge, but when the artists were allowed to interpret that however they wanted to, it could be about science and art, it could be just about their tools or their practice. Reza Ali, John's work before that, Volvox Labs, they each came back with something amazing, and I was just giddy like Christmas morning. There's this surprise and delight that I have whenever something that has this common thread comes back and artists have undermined it or supplanted it. It's just really, really incredible. So I mean, the question is this thing a template? Is it the form of some sort of sketch, or is it about defining the edges? I don't know, maybe. I want to talk to you a little bit about the Dream Collection Agency. So one of the artists that was working on the dumpster project, he was making a well where it was a participatory. In the dumpster, people would make wishes and put down the well, and then he would collect those wishes and catalog them and then share them on a website. Well, we got to talking, and we really both have this fascination with dreams, and we thought about this idea of collecting people's dreams and creating kind of like a catalog or a database of them. And we were really into those signs that are like, we buy houses around town. So we would set up we wanted to set up a phone line using Twilio and some other tools, and basically put these signs up around town for this number, and people could call them and they could donate their dream to the Dream Collection Agency. So we took all the vernaculars of the street, whether you're pulling numbers or throughout Atlanta, and it was amazing how many people called in. We sketched out the whole robocall. A lot of it had these empty loops where you would just get lost in the corporate messaging. But this started out to be something where, it was just a phone line, and we were doing it as an art project, but as we got talking, more and more people became interested in this mysterious thing, and we found a lot of inspiration through film history, like The Game with Michael Douglas. You guys remember CRS, the ARGs, like the Jejun Institute, and Cyberderm systems from Terminator. We suddenly got really excited. Let's make a fake company. And the purpose of that company will be to collect people's dreams, catalog those dreams, and then convert those dreams into virtual reality experiences for others. So we, coming from design, I was able to kind of flex my art director background and design and come up with this whole palette. We were really quite obsessed with very mundane spaces, like in strip malls, now serving 52, this DMV type of experience. So we came up with a brand mark and a tagline, and it was great because all we did was begin to set this narrative, and writers and designers and actors would kind of come out of the woodwork to contribute to this thing, and we didn't really know what this was. We just, okay, that sounds great. You want to do that? That's awesome. So graphic designer making, how does it work? We crowdsource dreams, we catalog those dreams, and we share them through our dream experience facilities. We even devised a traveling show where we would do kind of like a trade show or an expo from the mid-'80s. And it was an incredible success. We had our dream technicians on staff. Our founder, John Teeter, gave a wonderful keynote presentation. He flew in from Sydney that night and spoke why dreams were of great value and why we should pay attention to them and why the audience should donate their dreams. So finally, we found the perfect space. We found our strip mall, derelict storefront in downtown Atlanta. And people came and volunteered to be a part of this experience. So you would make an appointment, you would show up, and you would run into this lady who would check you in, and you would fill out a bunch of paperwork, and then you would wait in the waiting room for like way too long as part of the experience. And then you would come back and you could donate your dream. And then eventually you would sit in sort of like, this is our like Total Recall type chair with the Oculus Rift, and you got to have a VR experience of someone else's dream. So it was almost like a performance art piece. I've got a little video I want to show you. This was our kind of like our corporate pitch.
Well, the Dream Collection Agency began in 2012. Our founder, John Teeter, started the company based on his neural interfacing and bioengineering research at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. We've since expanded to other cities, and we hope to open our first Dream Experience facility here in Atlanta, Georgia, sometime around the fall. We're shooting for an October 1st launch date. What is the Dream Collection Agency? We collect, recycle, and recreate your dreams in a virtual reality environment.
Dreams have been studied at an individual level for many years. What we're interested in is the collective dreaming. What can we learn through studying dreams from different people with different backgrounds and different times and places? We believe the future of the dream experience doesn't take place just in the sleeping world. We intend to save dreams for eternity. And through the use of modern technology, recreate those dreams in the waking world.
Our professionally trained dream technicians catalog your dreams, insert them into our database, and then we curate and recreate them in a three-dimensional virtual reality environment. It's completely immersive and indistinguishable from the physical waking world. The recreation process is very intensive. It requires an army full of trained virtual reality experts. We've recruited the top minds from across the globe in areas as diverse as artificial intelligence, memetics, and neural interfacing. All of this technology comes together to recreate your dream exactly as you experienced it while sleeping.
Hi, I'm Dale Adams. I'm the Chief Technology Officer here at the Dream Collection Agency, and I'm going to show you a few of the tools that we use around here. This is one of the newest technologies that have come out using the Samsung Gear VR. Basically, we take this and they're in virtual reality, and then after that, they've been able to recall their dreams more specifically and have better remembrance of those things. So that is our Oculus Rift version of our dream experience, where people can go and have these experiences in one of our facilities throughout the country.
Until the 1950s, dreams were thought of as this sort of dormant time, that was opposite waking life. What we intend to do with the Dream Collection is to create dreams in the waking world, to catalog our dreams and to create a backlog that will allow scientists in the future to look to our dreams and correlate them with world events, natural disasters, and it's really telling, I think, of the collective subconscious, which is what we're ultimately interested in.
So yeah, kind of like Spinal Tap for VR or something. I don't know. What it is though, it really took this life of its own because, we got social media marketers were like, oh, I want to participate, I want to do this, this, and this, and we were like, okay, sure. And it was more like, I don't know, it just made me question, is this really more about creating a narrative or a tone that other people can plug into? I want to return to this for a moment. there's cohesion, a common thread. But the spaces people create in are their own, and that's something that's really important to me. I guess I was up late at night last night trying to come up with like, how would you really describe this thing we're talking about? Because I'm sure that there's a word. I don't know. Is it a platform? Is it a framework? How rigid is it? I'm not really sure, but there's some common qualities about it that I seek out in this sort of activity. So cohesion, of course. There's malleability and flexibility, so that it adapts to, as people contribute to it, it morphs. It's very deliberate. It's not really crowdsourcing, because it's kind of based on these human relationships and these creative communities. It's something that scales, but lack of control is really important to me too. You've set something in motion, or you've provided these conditions, and like I was saying with the Dolby Art Series project, it's this surprise you get and this delight from people creating their own space within this larger thing that I don't know what this thing is. So, anyways, that's my talk. These are my addresses. Please check out the Dream Collection Agency website. You can find out more about the Dolby Art Program, dolby.com/art. And yeah, thank you guys.